Horoscope 101, hello. Okay, if you can't tell what I'm going to be talking about today, I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Dexter. We're talking about TV this week, and I had to talk about probably my favorite current blood and guts show, and that would be Dexter. Now, this is actually one of the more recent Entertainment Weeklies with Dexter, talking about the new season, and I love the inside pictures, with his crazy face, but I'm a huge Jennifer Carpenter freak, so I love this picture of her. I'm a Deb girl, and especially this one. What is so ironic about this picture is that they're still willing and able to do pictures like this and be in the show together when they were married and are now divorced in real life. On the show, Dex and Deb are brother and sister, and Dexter, and he was adopted into the family. She was her father's natural child with his wife, and Dexter was brought in as a child into their family after their father, who was a police officer, found him at a crime scene. So we know that totally fucked up Dexter in the head, and basically he turned into being a serial killer. Now, I don't want to do too many spoilers for this show, because let's say if you've never watched the show Dexter, you don't have Showtime, and you're thinking about starting to watch it for the first time, I don't want to go into what's happening in the new season or anything like that, but that's the premise of Dexter, is he's grown up basically to be a serial killer. It's not also telling you too much that the father did know that something was wrong with him, and he gave him, Dexter, what was called the code. And the code is something that Dexter tries to go by, and that is so that he will only kill people that he thinks deserves it. So he has a side of himself that says he has to kill because he's a totally fucked up individual and he's a serial killer. But so to justify it for himself, because his father said if you do it like this that you might be able to get away with it. It is so Dexter can kill people that society might not miss, and that is people who he deems that deserves to die. Now, that can be anybody from other killers to, serial killers, just stuff like that. So, he tries to pick people that only, he thinks deserves it, and everything that comes by that. Now, the reason why I really love this show is because it really talks about the humanity of who he is. An interesting comparison would be talking about, let's say Data from Star Trek Next Generation. Data was a character who, although he was an android, and he convinced himself, and I'll say convinced because, mechanically and physically, he thought that he was unable to feel emotions. And throughout the seasons and the movies of Star Trek, the thing that you realize is that he can claim that he doesn't feel anything, but yet he shows things in little tiny ways that makes you think that he is totally underappreciating the emotions that he has. And I compare Dexter to that very much, because Dexter starts out the show in season 1 thinking that he is a total monster, that he has no feelings, that he doesn't have the capability to fall in love, to feel empathy. And what happens throughout his journey is that you start seeing in him, yes, you do have feelings. You are empathetic to some things. You do want to love desperately. And I think that's what makes the character so fascinating, is that he is somebody that is supposed to be a monster, and you start seeing him in another way. I mean, he's the hero of the show. I mean, there's times, of course, that you're watching the show and you're like, yes, kill that guy, kill that guy. So technically you are like rooting for a serial killer who is basically a monster. And I find that really fascinating. Really quickly, I will say my other show that I would have picked for my absolute favorite, horror, and Ross already did this, and so this is kind of like his big thing, and we talk about it all the time, but one of my absolute favorite shows, probably my number 3 favorite show ever, would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I just kind of have to give her a shout out. This is the season 1 set, and I absolutely love this picture of her. Unlike a lot of people, I loved season 1, and I loved her hair in season 1. She wore all these cute little 90s bubble rings, and I loved her fashion. I love everything about season 1. It really just had the 4 main characters, nobody else other than maybe, few of the other people they went to school with, but that was it. So very briefly want to talk about Buffy, but going back to Dexter, just had to throw some Buffy love in there. Not a huge Angel freak, but I do love me some Buffy, and I love Joss Whedon. So Yeah, check out Dexter if you haven't. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away about the seasons because I really want this video to be, if you have seen it, you're going to know what I'm talking about when it comes to his humanity and how, I do think that he starts developing it a lot more, even though he tries to deny that he has it. But if you have not seen it, I don't want to give too much away so you can really watch it from the beginning and discover it for yourself. And with all the blood and guts and stuff like that that's on shows like CSI and now with like Game of Thrones and Spartacus and stuff like that, I'm not going to say that, for younger people or anything like that this is like ultimately way too gory, because there's like much worse stuff on television right now, in my opinion. I mean, yes, you're going to see some stabbings and he kills people on his table and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it's not violent. It's blood, guts, all that stuff. But at the same time, there's so much, worse stuff on TV that, it's not that bad. But if you like that kind of stuff, it's also really, really good. So again, I just love this picture. I might keep this cover because I throw a lot of these away. But I was very impressed they put Dexter on the cover. Everyone kind of thought that it was going to be something like that cover instead, but they're actually going to probably do a very special issue for Breaking Bad. So they decided to do Dexter this week because it's, Dexter starting up again. And then they had some other covers, like they have a True Blood. There's like multiple covers in this issue, but they decided to put Dexter on the front. So very quick video, just kind of saying, watch Dexter if you haven't seen it. If you have, let me know what you think about it. Maybe what your favorite season was. My favorite was season 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was season 4, and it was the one with the Trinity Killer. That's all I'm going to say. John Lithgow was amazing. So, signing out. I will see you all next Sunday, and look forward to James tomorrow.